So I do a lot of takes whenever I make these kinds of videos, and of course, that all comes with bloopers. Here for the Audi TT, I have more bloopers than I do actual video content, and I thought it'd be funny to share with you guys my favorite and funniest moments whenever I try to make these clips and end up failing. So, just for the sake of the memes, I hope you guys enjoy it, because I sure did whenever I was putting this all together. There's an old saying that if you stick with something that you don't necessarily like for long enough, then you will eventually begin to really like it. That was entirely the case for this car. The Audi TT-RS might not be the most prevalent car in the series. What the? But it's certainly one of the more unique ones. For one, it is the only 5-cylinder in the Performance series, with 2.5-liter one at that, packing around 300 horsepower, that propels it through... In the game, it has a listed top speed of 155 miles an hour, but that's actually incorrect. Its actual top speed is somewhere north of 174 miles an hour, which puts it right in the middle of the tier. And it's actually a pretty decent car, and I will get more into that in a little bit. It has a direct competitor in the 911 Targa S, which is in the same tier as it, and it actually competes in a head-to-head battle, which you'll see in just... What the hell am I saying? I will, however, say that the Targa does beat it out in acceleration. I lost my train of thought. However, I will definitely say that the Targa beats it out in acceleration, because for some inexplicable reason, the Targa shifts a lot faster than the TT. The TT? Hey! I will say that the Targa does beat it out in acceleration, because for some inexplicable, what is wrong with me in that word today? God. In terms of raw stats, the Targa seems to be pretty well stacked against the TT, seemingly outclassing it entirely. I lost my words. It has a listed top speed of 155 miles an hour, but that's actually incorrect. It's actually somewhere closer to 174 miles an hour, putting it right in the middle of the tier, and I think that's really interesting how EA... It has a listed top speed of 155 miles an hour, but that's actually incorrect. It's actually somewhere north of 174, putting it right in the middle of the tier. Does it? I actually don't know now. It has a listed top speed of 155 miles an hour, but that's actually incorrect. It's actually somewhere north of 174 miles an hour, putting it near the bottom, not the bottom of the tier. That's wrong. It has a listed top... I don't know what the hell that was. Its top speed is listed as 155 miles an hour, but that's actually incorrect. It's actually closer to 174 miles an hour. Sniffles. I gotta get over this cold. It's also worth mentioning that just because the Targa has the better on-spec papers... Does... On-spec papers? What? It's also worth mentioning that even though the Targa does have the... It's also worth mentioning... It's also worth mentioning that just because the Targa has the better specs on paper, it doesn't mean that it's the better car. Because I've gotten the TT up to 204 miles an hour under nitrous. Since there is no real way to prove the TT's true top speed just because there is no turbo in the super tier, until the super tier, wow. There is no real way to distinguish what the TT's true top speed could be just because turbo and hot pursuits aren't available until the super tier, and the TT has zero access to super tier or above events. That's obvious. Why are you even saying this? That isn't the only place where the TT shines. I would say even in more technical tracks... Why am I saying tracks? This isn't a closed track racing game. I don't know why this is so hard for me to do. But even leaving highways and such aside, nope. But leaving just the highways aside, nope. What am I even saying? That's the second time in a row that I said that, and I don't even know why. But highways aren't the only thing that the TT excels at. Because I will say, stop being so confident. Be pessimistic. But the highways are not the only place that the TT excels at. Because of that front engine layout and the all-wheel drive, it actually has pretty solid grip through corners and can actually find its way through a lot of technical places as well. And I would say that the versatility, just like with the Murcielago and the exotic tier, is what makes this car so effective even in less than ideal situations. That still doesn't make sense. I had something going there, but I don't know exactly what I wanted to do. Ugh. But the highways are not the only place where the TT excels at. With that front engine layout and all-wheel drive, it actually has a lot of grip through corners as well. So drifting is actually very easy for it, and I would say it's actually a really good base point to start learning. Start learning what? You're already in the performance tier, so why are you learning anything at this point? That makes zero sense. It's also worth mentioning that just because the Targa has the better on-spec papers, again with on-spec papers, what was that? Even though it won't need to worry about this too terribly often, because there's really a handful of events that... Sniffles? I still gotta get over this cold. Even though it can now do about 200 or 201 miles an hour under its own power with draft, it now finds itself being outpaced by its main competition as well Cool. Alright. What if I just narrate the rest of this? I'll try this, hold on. Let's see. Even though it can do about 200 or so under its own power with draft, it now finds itself being outpaced by its main competition in the 911 Targa S. How'd that turn out? About 200 miles an hour on the highway. Even though it can do about 200 or so under its own power with draft, it now finds itself being outpaced by its main competition in the 911 Targa S. I'm not sure how I feel about that, honestly. Is that really how I sound? The Cayman feels much more lighter and agile in cop form. Don't get me wrong, the TTRS is still a fantastic car overall in the cop series, but it is worth mentioning that... God, biscuits, dude. Now don't get me wrong, the TTRS is still a fantastic interceptor, and I still think it's one of the best cars in the tier overall, but it is worth mentioning that it does have some pretty notable competition. Glad I got that before I needed to sniffle, because that was a big one. That big of a fan of this car at first. I thought that it was mis-tiered as a performance car because I saw its on-paper specs and I was not impressed at first. I thought that it was... I hate this so much. I thought it was mis-tiered as a performance car, and I didn't really think it was anything all that special, and I thought that it was very outclassed by its competition. More in those specs. Sniffles. Damn it. Again. Oh god. Whoops. This car definitely has the most bloopers so far. Holy.